3 weeks ago, the United Nations came out with their second annual poll of 156 countries, and they were measuring the happiness index. How happy are the people in each country? In its second year, 40 countries improved on year two, and 61 fell further down. The United States was 17th happiest country of 156 around the globe, and we were up from 19 the year before. So how do you think that rates and fares in terms of your happiness? Are you happy? And what does happiness mean anyway? And why would the United Nations run this poll at this time to start evaluating happiness in the first place? As it turns out, it's a very serious effort on their part, designed to come out before each annual meeting of the G20 leadership. And they actually are advocating that it isn't physical or financial well-being that should be the measure of the happiness of people around the globe, but in fact it should be some holistic measure, people that are happy in their lives. Now, the number one country in the world last year for the most happy was Denmark, and all the other four were Scandinavian countries. So it got me thinking, we must be in pretty good shape. But the fact of the matter is, they also went further to find out that happiness does have a different measure. One of the most financially successful countries in the world is Singapore, and they're ranked in the very bottom decile of happy countries. In Panama, 90th. Some abject poverty in half of the country, and they're among the top decile of happy people. Tonight we're together with heroes. Tonight we have people in the room that want for the best in the roles we've been given as leaders to create a community where people can be proud and healthy and happy, and a future that's forever changed because of our presence. Tonight, the Minnesota Business Partnership holds its annual meeting to place our thanks and our reverence to the political leaders and the stewards who hold office. If you are one such person in the room tonight, we thank you. It's quite courageous, it's remarkable, and it's incredible that you would choose as your vocation for life to be a public servant and to serve at the will of the people. If you're an educator in the room, like Eli, and many of you are, you're heroes of another sort. You've given your life to changing the future through the young people who will create it. And the rest of us, we're business people, and very proud of it. It's what we chose to do with our life, to make things, to protect things, to guard things, to save things, and to create dreams or protect them for a future that hasn't happened yet. The Minnesota Business Partnership seeks tonight to be a great moment just to pause and collectively celebrate what's possible when business leadership meets civic leadership meets political leadership. It's pretty remarkable. Now, one thing we have to watch for is that we don't get complacent and that we wear our humility with pride. Since moving here 11 years ago, I am its best advocate, partly because I'm not from here. This is the greatest place in America, maybe the greatest place in the world. I'm very happy here. And I worry that sometimes we miss the good things. I worry sometimes that we exaggerate the negatives, as the governor said. We are on the top of every single good list ever. I mean, when do you not open whatever magazine, and when it says ranking the top cities, you knowingly go to that page early just to celebrate that we're in the top, because we always are. And then when we find something that we're not, it's a call to action. There's a phrase called the burning platform. It's visual if you can think of it, because you would stand on a platform, and if this platform were lit, I have two choices: to give in or move. And I think the call to action that the governor offered, that Pat Ryan offered, that Eli offered, calls us to action and to change the future, because we work together as partners, because we respect each other and we revere each other for having chosen to do what we're going to do with our lives at this moment in time. When Wayne Gretzky was placed into the Hall of Fame, and Los Angelino that I was, quite proud of it, all 12 of us in Los Angeles that followed hockey. Wayne Gretzky, when asked why he thought he was standing before that very audience that very special day, replied to the question, "I don't know why I'm here. I guess I was just where the puck was going to be." Ladies and gentlemen, this room of 1,000 leaders for this great state are supposed to be puck finders. It's our job to not know where we are today, but to know where we need to be in the future. It's not enough to just celebrate where we are now or to revere the moments that got us here. That's great. But the people that rely on us, the millions of people in this great state, they count on us to think about the future and be there when it's ready, to create a future that hasn't happened yet, that's greater and stronger because we work together. And so tonight we celebrate partnership. The Minnesota Business Partnership is 36 years old. Imagine what we can do with 100 more of those great years. You think if there's any other state where the business leaders would call to the room the civic and political leaders to say thank you. We appreciate you, we respect you, and we want to work together. I don't think that happens anywhere else. And in kind, despite maybe our differences on the way we might approach the same topic, for those of you who we work with, for you to engage with us in conversation, thoughtful learning, intention to do something new, and to work together stronger because we're together than if we're apart. It's pretty remarkable. In closing, if you're in this room tonight, you're a gainfully employed, highly influential adult. When you're a child, you're on your way to adulthood. When you're long past retirement, you're enjoying the life that you've created. But there's a moment in your life when it all comes together. It's a moment when you know what you do well, you can advocate for it strongly, you're big enough and broad enough to know how it fits into the big context of the world, and you have a voice that should be used and should be carried to inform a future that hasn't happened yet. Tonight, the Minnesota Business Partnership thanks the heroes in the room, the public servants, the educators, the civic leaders, and in kind, as one of the many business people in the room, we couldn't be more proud to be with you, and we're proud of what we do as well. The citizens in this community are counting on us, not just for tomorrow, but for many tomorrows forward. The puck is moving. Let's go find it and celebrate the next milestone in this great American state called Minnesota, in the greatest country in the world. And that's why we're here tonight. So thank you for being a part of that. It is now my distinct pleasure to introduce for our close tonight another amazing governor, Governor Jeb Bush. Okay, so I didn't know this till I was studying today, but Jeb is actually his 3 initials. Did you know that? John Ellis Bush. I thought it was some nickname your mom or dad picked for you, and maybe it is as well. Born in Midland, Texas, a graduate of University of Texas in Austin, a child of 17 finds his bride for a lifetime. I know the feeling. And it's all good from there. He learned Latin American studies, married his wife, has 3 adult children, 2 grandchildren. That might be all enough because that's who this guy is, but there's more. He started out as a banker. OMG, a banker, thank God, another banker. But sadly, like so many, he left. He moved in to help his father in his vice presidential candidacy, and then got into commercial real estate. Pat, you'd like that. He then moved on to become the state of Florida's Commerce Secretary, and then he moved on to help his father with his presidential campaign. He's always been a leader, but he's always first been a servant for something he believes in, if not for his own direct engagement for those of people he trusted, in this case, his father. He goes on to become the great governor of the great state of Florida for 2 terms until he's termed out. And so far, the only governor with 2 terms as a Republican in that amazingly important state. He moved on from that point in his time spent in Florida and leaves a legacy of a governor who was focused on education, environment, the economy, and healthcare. Wow, that's exactly what we're all about. And he did amazing things in those 8 years for that very important bellwether state. The guy's not only a good leader, but every once in a while you get to test the mettle of your ability to compel and to change people's hearts, not just their minds. No one should ever have to go through not one, but two amazingly significant hurricanes. And to gather the confidence and the belief and trust of every of his citizens in Florida, believing he would carry them to some safety and create a future that was in some form devastated in the near term, but hopeful in the long term. This great man also has a focus on education. He's known to be an advocate for education. Eli, you have met your kindred spirit. This guy is all about the war on mediocrity, and he's especially focused on the belief that young people, carried with better leaders and educators who care the most about them individually, will change the future one student at a time for the future that hasn't happened yet. He is indeed a puck finder. And ladies and gentlemen, finally, he's an awfully nice guy, and he's a terrific American patriot. And so how lucky are we tonight to have the closing few minutes with Governor Jeb Bush from Florida. Please welcome with a Minnesota nice welcome. Governor, please come forward.